This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No.
No.
Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DBL. Hello, you three.
Hey, hey.
Hey.
Hello, you guys out there. Good morning. Have you ever been convinced to buy something online because of all the glowing reviews, only to get it and realize it's garbage? Well, the Federal Trade Commission voted to now ban fake online reviews, including those that are created with AI. So I am a large review person, including go to YouTube and watching the videos. Anybody here a review person? Have you ever been influenced?
I do reviews. I want to see a comma in that number. I want to see at least 10,000. And if I'm going to buy something like it's electronics, I don't do food because it's always somebody that was drunk, definitely. And our waiter was mean. It's like, no, it's probably you. So I don't do food. I do electronics.
That's fair.
I tend to go to reviews, especially if it's an experience. But I also, I just got burned with reviews recently because there are these, I decided that after Daily Blast Live sunsets in September, that I'm going to go through a wig era.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Me too.
And so I was getting all of these wigs, and all the reviews are garbage because the wigs are garbage. Like, they all come up to like right here. They look like they're from like a set of a Disney live action thriller.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So I've had it with reviews now.
You're done with reviews.
Yes.
Jeffrey, real quick, you review guy?
I too am going through a wig revolution. Yeah, when we are done.
That was well done.
I can see Jordan on the phone with like your psychiatrist, like he's calling it a wig revolution. You need to get over here.
He thinks he's Bob Marley, and it's not a good look. Yeah.
We have some cultural appropriation issues going on. All right, now the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, isn't just banning fake reviews. They're also banning online marketers or influencers from exaggerating their own influence. They will no longer be able to pay for bots to artificially inflate the numbers of followers that they have. I feel like they got like a Gen Zer at the FTC, and they're like, we're going to take care of some things.
Right. Didn't they do these purges like a couple years
they
back?
do them every once in a while, and for different reasons. I know that there was a big purge, I want to say in 2021, because I was still with Meta at that time. But it is interesting to me because I know the numbers seem to dictate if they're considered influential.
Yes.
But it is very difficult to get sponsorships from major brands. So they're not just necessarily looking at your numbers, they're generally looking at your engagement.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, yeah, because sometimes it's just better for them to have like micro influencers.
That's what I would be. I would be what you would call a
but
micro.
have a very engaged following than someone who has millions of people following but don't have much engagement. So I wonder what the real issue behind the numbers actually is, because I don't think it's necessarily the sponsorships.
It's interesting we're having this conversation because we had some friends of the family over to the house when my son was here last week, and they brought their teenage daughter who's starting college, started Sunday, shout out. And I was talking to her about their generation and how they look at social media, and what they were saying is they don't want, like the younger generation now, having 30,000 followers or 100, that's embarrassing to them. They would rather have 500 followers and get 450 likes on their pictures. So they want less people and more engagement, like you're speaking of, rather than the big inflated number where you're like, wow, you have 50,000 followers. It's interesting how it changes over the generations.
It just becomes more curated to what you want, guys.
They don't want randos at all. They're like, I want to know
You're real.
almost everybody that follows me.
That's interesting. I know, you guys can still follow me. I am Tori Schulman. Okay. Finally, Kamala Harris is going after inflation, which we have talked about a lot on the show, in a speech tomorrow. She's reportedly going to call for a federal ban on corporate price gouging. It's going to be on groceries and other consumer staples. Now, Jeffrey, this is speaking your language. We've talked about that. Does this kind of rev you up a bit and kind of get you a little bit more excited?
Definitely.
Okay.
But this is something everybody could get excited about. This is something where the Republicans need to shift gear, right? I used the example on wherever show earlier this week about you got to know the team you're playing against and you have to shift gear. This is something everybody could get on board with.
Right.
Even if you hate Kamala Harris, you're like, this is a good idea. And I wish she took it even a step further. I wish like all the dumb little things like traffic light infractions that you get in the mail, that should be illegal. You're just skimming off the top. There's no different than the mafia. I just watched this whole mafia documentary, so that's where my mind
Your
is.
wig era, your mafia era.
Yeah, but it's all tiers. The government works in the same way. There's one capo, right, the president of the United States, and there's 2 representatives from each state. Right? It just keeps going down. They should get rid of insider trading. Both parties benefit off of that. That should be totally illegal. You're taking advantage of the stock market by the very laws that you're passing. They need to start going after their own people. Damn. If she does that and takes it a step further and goes after her own government, you might get me.
Jeff, if you look at the number of
Jeffrey.
senators and Congress people that sold their stock the day before the bans went down,
Including both sides, hashtag Pelosi.
It was
both sides.
Both sides. Absolutely. And Jeff, to your point that they're the mafia, you can't do anything until they get their cut. Sports gambling was very illegal 20 years ago. Now is it illegal?
Right.
Marijuana was very illegal 10 years ago. Now is it illegal? Because the government gets their cut. So, Jeff, you're not that far off, bro.
I also think many people say, Erica, I'd love to get your opinion on this, that we'd love Congress
By the way, I'm way too close to the table, and I can't.
Oh, you can't
my
move?
legs.
Do you need help?
No, I'm
okay.
fine.
Are you okay?
Yeah, but I'm like, why am I sitting this close?
You seem like very eager, like eager beaver up here.
I don't know why.
You're fine. Really quickly, a lot of people say Congress should get the same health care we do because they get a different health care. And they're like, let's see what happens when you guys have to deal with calling Blue Cross and see how that goes.
Good point.
I would agree with that.
Okay, sorry, we only have like 10 seconds left. I apologize. Coming up on DBL, Al will move from his desk, and new information, of course, on a different level here. We have find out more about Matthew Perry's death as we find out who's been actually arrested now in connection with his overdose. And we're talking with a former flight attendant turned author who's telling us all about her new thriller that involves a plane crash. All right, now we are getting news as it's coming on this. Welcome back to DBL. There is a big break in the investigation of the late Friends actor Matthew Perry. If you remember, he drowned in his hot tub last October, and he had high levels of ketamine in his system, which likely caused him to become unconscious. His death was ruled accidental, but now we are hearing that TMZ is reporting police went through Matthew's text messages to uncover where he got the drug and how much he paid for it. ABC News is now saying right now 5 people, including 2 doctors, were just charged with conspiracy to distribute ketamine. This isn't the first time we've sort of heard of this, the precedent here. Conrad Murray in 2011, if we remember with propofol famously, he got arrested for using it with Michael Jackson. A dealer spent 17.5 years in connection with Mac Miller, an overdose death in 2018 right here. And of course, in 2023, a dealer was sentenced to 10 years for Michael K. Williams' death, which was fentanyl-laced heroin. Of course, he played Omar, amongst other things, on The Wire. Talk to me about what you guys are thinking. Is this a RICO case? Is this like a crime ring?
I want to hear what you guys think.
Is this what this is?
Because I have thoughts.
I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, I'll just
Someone
say this.
say thoughts.
I will say since we are on a show, fine, I'll talk.
No, because you're more deep into this kind of thing.
I am. I go back and forth. I'm like, should people that give drugs that are laced intentionally or not, should they be prosecuted? Absolutely. But there's a couple things holding me back because could Matthew Perry have gone to a grocery store in Los Angeles and bought a case of Jack Daniels? That's a drug. It can, if you don't
But it wasn't
use it,
prescribed to you.
if you don't use it responsibly,
Right.
you can.
I
you
agree.
can die.
And some bartenders get in trouble if they overserve, right?
And also, let's be real. Let's be honest, and I don't begrudge anybody that has any kind of addiction issue. It's just a thing that's in our society. But yes, these were the last drugs, but he had a lifetime of buying drugs legally and illegally, I'm sure. So when we prosecute the people at the tail end of it, are we really getting the actual criminals when we're talking about 3+ decades of abusing your body and your system? It's unpleasant to talk about, and we want to get the bad guy, but the bad guy in this case was addiction. Going after some doctors that should be disciplined. But are we any better for those doctors being in jail?
Can I ask you, is because they prescribed someone knowing he had an addiction problem, that gives them a lot more negligence and going against their oath?
He had money. You can buy whatever you want when you have money.
But that's also illegal.
Not when you. There's nothing illegal when you have money in this country, Tori. You can get away with anything you want. And Matthew Perry had a lot of sway with his name and his pocketbook. So let's not sit here and act like some doctor is above board when a super famous A-lister says, "Hey, give me 2 more of those."
So
What, are you
because
gonna say no?
So because he's famous, no one gets arrested? Like none of this?
How many famous rich people can you name that have gone to jail, Tori?
I mean,
Yeah, we'll wait. It doesn't.
We know
this
famous
is.
rich
I was gonna
people
say-
who have gone to jail. I think
Maybe if they've been caught on camera doing something, but it's very
Bernie made
difficult.
I understand what you're saying. The likelihood of someone going down or facing the stiffest penalties does have a lot to do with popularity and wealth, of course. But we also know that that doesn't apply to everybody. In this particular situation, I think that this is an accountability thing. And ultimately, these people are going to be made examples of. Now, to your point, Al, is making an example of a couple of doctors and a few drug dealers or people who happen to have it or whatever the relationship is that making the situation any better? I don't know the answer to that. But I do know that there is a problem in this country. And when we have people who pass away because of their addictions and inability to contain it, we tend to be like, oh, that was too bad and that was on them. And it stands in a silo when really at this point we're acknowledging that there's a whole ecosystem
Like a
that
network of
contributes
people.
to it.
And I think this is maybe trying to chip away at that by taking these guys down. Let us know what you guys think. Coming up on DBL, a former flight attendant who's now a best-selling author is telling us all about her new book involving an aviation disaster. And you got to stick around for today's Deal Blast. You know why? We got teeth whitening kit for such a good price. Welcome back. From flight attendant to best-selling author, TJ Newman's career has taken flight, and her newest thriller, Worst Case Scenario, is out now. Earlier, we flagged her down to talk all about it. Check it out.
Please welcome author TJ Newman.
Yes.
Hi, thank you for having me on.
Hey.
Thank you for joining us. All right, let's jump right in because you did a lot of writing while working as a flight attendant. What specifically would you write about while working on a plane with that book over your shoulder? I'm kind of guessing right now. Worst case scenario? That's not what I want in my flight attendant.
It's true. My first book was called Falling, and I wrote that one by hand in the forward galley on red-eye flights while my passengers would sleep. And you asked me if I write about my passengers, and in a way I do, because not specific passengers, but my books are about ordinary people being thrust into extraordinary circumstances and how they rise to meet that moment. Because I would fly and I would look out at the passengers and think, what if something goes wrong? What's going to happen? Who's going to be the hero? Who's going to be the coward? Who's going to be the comic relief? And they inspired me to think of these worst case scenarios, these action thrillers, which are the stories that I write, but put everyday people like you and me in them.
Would you be willing to punch me in the face if something happened? Because I just want to be knocked out.
I'll do it. I'll
right.
knock you out.
I love that you were literally writing the pages of your next chapter during your current chapter as a flight attendant. That is so inspirational. Well, your newest novel is called Worst Case Scenario, and it's about a plane that crashes into a nuclear power plant after the pilot has a heart attack. Oh, God. So how did you get this idea?
When I was doing research for my first book, I talked to pilots and I asked them questions all the time. And the question that I always asked was, what's your biggest fear? As a pilot, emotionally, what's your biggest fear? And one day a pilot looked at me and he looked me dead in the eye and he said, my biggest fear is a commercial airliner crashing into a nuclear power plant. Ooh. And I thought he was kidding because I mean, come on. As I told him, I said, you know, they've proved that the facilities are fortified. This is something, we live in a post 9/11 world. Like, this is not a rational fear. And he's listening to me explain this. And when I finish, he looks at me and says, and that's exactly what they want you to think.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly. And so when I went to write my third book, I went back to that idea and I started researching to see, like, is there any validity to this fear? And I have to tell you, I was terrified by the research.
Okay.
The premise of this book is completely plausible and it's terrifying.
Okay, great. My biggest fear was that my luggage was going to get lost for a long time. Now I'm thinking about power plants. Okay. What was the biggest real life scare you had while working as a flight attendant?
You know, you'd mentioned the passengers. I write action thrillers, not horrors. So, you know, I will leave that genre to somebody else, because I tell you what, every day it was some new drama, some new chaos happening on the plane with a passenger. But you know, my brain is just designed to think in sort of big blockbuster action terms. So really every day I would just sit and look out at the passengers and daydream up worst case scenarios and think what would happen.
Speaking of blockbusters, you only have about 30 seconds left, but your books are going to become movies soon. We hear there's a bidding war between people like Nicole Kidman and Steven Spielberg. Mazel tov for the rights. How do you feel about that?
It blows my mind. It's absolutely surreal. I can't believe, you know, that my first two books, Falling and Drowning, are going to be made into movies with Universal Pictures and with Warner Brothers. My second book, Drowning, Academy Award nominee Paul Greengrass is directing.
Wow.
Steve Kloves, the Harry Potter screenwriter, is adapting the book. I'm living my dream come true, and today's publication day of my third book, and I can't believe this is my life.
Happy Pub Day! Happy Pub Day!
TJ, congratulations. That is incredible. DBL Nation, pick up TJ's newest thriller, Worst Case Scenario, available now. Thank you again. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Just don't pick it up if you're going to the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back. We've got some great products from our friends at Morning Save. Check them out. Steph, what do you have for us today? Let's shop.
First up today, we've got the Purian Pro LED Teeth Whitening Kit with an LED light. Ooh. You can ditch those old school strips and use this new way to whiten your teeth. We have seen this previously priced as high as $69.
Oh, no.
We've got it for just $15. That is saving 78%.
Oh my God, $15?
I know.
Okay, that stuff is really good.
Up next, we've also got the Livestyle Advanced Boom Tube Wireless LED Light Speaker. This speaker is perfect for playing music. It also has LED dancing lights that will pulse in time with the music.
Yeah!
And this has been priced up to $90.
Ooh.
However, we've got it for just $19.99. That's saving 78%.
This brings your patio or your room upscale to a new level.
Up next, this is for you, Tori. I am telling you now.
Oh.
It is the 2-pack South Street Loft glass lanterns with remote.
I'm obsessed.
So this deal includes 2 lanterns,
okay,
and they come with candles and remote.
Oh.
And also, you can fill the lantern with your own style, like a bit of greenery, maybe some seashells.
So cute.
We've seen this price as high as $32 each for one.
Yeah, I can see
We
that.
have got a 2-pack, Tori, for $24.
Yes.
That's saving 63%.
I'm promising you, you will not regret buying that.
Our last product today is the Shark Wand Vac System Ultra Lightweight, Powerful, Cordless 3-in-1 Stick Vacuum.
Ooh.
Now this is just £2.
Whoa.
You can clean your home with one of the most trusted names in household appliances. So normally this is priced up to $270.
Yeah.
We've got this for $99.99. That's saving 63%.
Head on over to morningsave.com to snag all these amazing deals at the lowest prices. Or you see that QR code on your screen. You can scan it to take you directly to these products on Morning Save's website. Thank you so much, Steph. All right, we got some comments about Matthew Perry. Lee says, I get so angry when I hear that docs are involved, which I can understand. And then Marquita says about the airplane thriller book, I always pray for pilots before they take off.
That's great.
That's so nice. Do you guys have like a ritual? My family always says, tell the pilot to drive safely, even though they're not driving.
Yeah, that's not my ritual.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I get on the plane and sit down like an adult and get ready to go where I'm going.
Does your family
I don't need to
say
have
anything?
any chance.
No chance, nothing?
I always tap the outside of the plane
I
when
do
I walk
too,
out.
yeah.
I saw somebody do that, and I thought about you the last flight I took. Somebody tapped the outside.
I hold the heart, or if it's Southwest, like I do that too.
So what if it's not Southwest?
I like when the pilot's sitting there all proud when you walk out, and I'm like, good flight. And he's like, you know?
Hot pilot. All right, we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, guys.